Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire is the latest Monsterverse film to drop in theaters, so it's time to rank all of them from my least favorite to my favorite. Hey everyone, welcome to Cinema, where we focus on the film. I'm Josh, this is Simply Cinema. Let me know down in the comments below how you would rank the Monsterverse and how it generally pertains to your taste in films as a whole. Do you hate it, or do you just find a good guilty pleasure fun with these films as a whole? And make sure to like this video and subscribe if you enjoy it and the taste that you get out of this video as a whole, because we got daily content coming here each and every day. And coming in last place, we have Godzilla vs. Kong, one that I'm not particularly fond of from Adam Wingard. The way they progress the story is rather slow, largely focused on the humans than the fights. And with those humans, they're not particularly interesting in the way that you're sort of integrating some leftovers from Godzilla, King of the Monsters, as well as what Adam Wingard is trying to bring with his film. And unfortunately, those two different subplots don't mix well with the way they're focusing on some old characters, some new characters, as well as these new forward steps for going onward with this franchise, and the way they intermix that, the way they bring in these monster fights way near the end of the film doesn't give the payoff that I'm really expecting. Even for something that looks really cool and visually appetizing, it doesn't offer what I absolutely would want from this film as a whole. And coming in number 4, we have Godzilla, King of the Monsters, one that I really used to love and not so much anymore, just for the appeal that is sort of drawn out and dried out from it. What I am getting from this film, I am still on board with some of the ideas, the ambition to say these villains are going so far as to believe they are saving the world by killing off most of humanity because of what humanity is doing against itself. The message is there and not too strong in its face, but some of the humans, of course, like I was saying before, are a bit empty, a bit bland with what they're offering to the table. And while there is some good performances, offering some different dialogue that actually works well in the visuals to the screen, unfortunately, a lot of the camera movements are the shakiest in the franchise, the way they go about different things. And while I'm not too against what they do by looking up at the monsters with some of the different camera shots, some of the editing with that, from either wide scale shots to down on the ground looking up, just doesn't always blend well with certain ways, that doesn't always flow in the right manner. And coming in number 3, we have Godzilla, Gareth Edwards, bringing one that's really profound in its editing, maybe the best of this franchise on its own for the editing and how you're showing the scale of the threats. The humans aren't particularly as interesting, like I'm mentioning in many of this, but while you do get some moments near the beginning that fleshes out what you're wanting from these humans, unfortunately you sort of kill off a particular character earlier on in this film that really leaves the rest of the film dry, because for the rest of the film you really get to feel the stakes that are going on with the humans here on Earth. And that's what I applaud for this film, that makes me put it a little bit higher up on this list. But when they have main characters still involved with the plot, but have a trouble focusing in on that character when they're going more so on the big scale, the big threat that's going on at hand, trying to focus on the whole world or a whole collection of people as a whole, there is the visual look that really shows dominance to what it is expressing as the big world threat. But when you're also tackling that small human problem where you're focusing on one main character, it just doesn't have the right balance that works at the end. And coming in number 2, we have Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. After the last few films, I was in for a big treat with this film, setting my expectations that were rather low. And while this could drop maybe upon rewatch, I was just generally having a good time in the theaters, just enjoying the visual feast that we get, having these big monster fights, having a bit of comedy, and an aspect that I really enjoy within film, exploring the culture within the mute person, as well as Kong, how they're exploring his backstory, the laws of the nature. And while it is focused more on Kong and shouldn't necessarily include Godzilla as much in the title for those 15-second intervals that you have throughout the film, he is still essential to the plot based on what they're involving, how they're evolving him, until you get to the final battle. It builds up something that's obviously more Kong focused, and at least becomes more focused, not having too many subplots that splice up the runtime to be too long. And so it really delivers on building up the suspension of what you're getting from these characters, becoming a bit more interesting, and delivering on a great final battle that has stakes that are not necessarily taken to face value of really feeling the damage that's done on Earth, really emphasizing with the humans and everything that's going on based on all the damage that's being caused because of how dismissive they are on that matter. But it is still delivering on what it is headed for a big, slocky, fun blockbuster. And that leaves at number 1, Kong Skull Island. Now, I am impressed by this film just with the way it handles the Vietnam War era and just going into this simple, focused, grounded story, gathering these people, going on to Kong Skull Island, this guy trying to prove that monsters exist, while the humans aren't super fleshed out where you absolutely love or care for each and every one. They still go on a fair amount, offering a base level of knowledge to what these characters want, what their motives are, and having one of the leaders be one of those Vietnam War victims, in a sense, just having that go-to attitude, having to create the enemy once he believes he sees it, creates that matter of suspension that is believable for the aspects that you're getting with this story, creating great visuals and the camera movements and how that interworks with the editing and the chops that is splicing up the visual effects on Kong and the Skull Island as a whole, getting the scroll crawlers, different cultural vibes that aren't explored in full, but offers still enough that really it surprises the heck out of me, and what you're getting as a whole from all these different creatures that makes it much more than just any old King Kong film and dividing your attention with all of these different human characters. It isn't your typical Kong Skull Island film, but you're still getting the ideas and elements that you see all the way back in the original King Kong film that makes this film to be something that's still proficient for what it has to provide for a Monsterverse film. And that's just my personal thoughts on the Monsterverse movies, ranked from my least favorite to my favorite. And I'd love to see your thoughts down in comments below. Let me know all your thoughts, just how you'd rank them, and if you like this franchise as a whole, or if it isn't your taste. And make sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to join in this film culture community where we share our love for movies and cinema as a whole. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.